Hello and welcome to another episode of a weekly Waypoint, the show where I talk about my week and the things that interest me. Today we are playing Halo 2 specifically, 2 matches of Halo 2, both SWAT, and they're not really cut up like some of the previous episodes were, just because it's kind of all killer anyway. I mean, okay, there's a few quiet moments, but they're strategic quiet moments, you know? I'm not lazy. Also, nobody stated their preference, so, maybe everyone prefers this way, I don't know. This week, World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King Classic Prepatch came out, which is a whole lot of nouns. But I'm going to talk about that for a little bit, if that's okay with you. I had a plan, you see. I was going to, when Wrath came out, check out the Fresh servers, which, if you're not following World of Warcraft Classic, is basically you can't put a boosted character on there and you can't server transfer a character over to there within 90 days. So it's like its own little economy bubble, its own little fresh start, so to speak. And I am one of the people in the demographic it's really aiming at. It's aiming at new players and it's aiming at returning players who never really got their characters to max level. So I thought, sure, that sounds good. That sounds like me. I'm going to make a warlock. It's going to be my whole deal. But when I was playing through it, I was just kind of struck with a sense of like, I'm not sure this really is for me. I think this is for people who are fed up with the economy in the current servers. And like, I don't even know what GTKP means, but I know that everyone in Classic hates it. I'm guessing it just means boosted runs for real world money or some either that or just like a really strict and bullshit way of deciding who gets to go into raids or who gets loot in those raids. I don't know. But yeah, I thought it'd be cool because, you know, fresh server and all that, and when you go into like Storming, there won't be anyone on a mount or anything, and it'll be kind of like a race, kind of. And I don't know, I got in there and I played around a bit and I just thought, this is just the same experience right now as leveling a fresh tune on a current realm, except this realm is absolutely swamped with people killing every enemy, and I'm fine, I'm patient, I party up with people, I kind of know it's part of the experience, I was expecting it, but I just kind of thought after like 7 levels, maybe, you know, maybe I haven't abandoned that fresh realm idea completely, but I would rather work on the characters I've already got, or I guess on the realm I'm already on where my guild is. And I mean, it's only fresh for 90 days, so, you know, eventually it's just going to be a realm where I randomly have a character that isn't part of my guild on. So instead, I did what I thought I wouldn't be interested in with a pre-patch, which was making my Death Knight, because I've played a Death Knight in retail, I've done that whole rigmarole, I've killed a whole bunch of Scarlet Crusaders, I've broken free of the will of a Lich King, I know how this kind of thing goes. And me and Death Knights, we've never really got on, because while I love them in principle, I love the theme of them, everything like that, I started in Mists, so making a level 55 character just kind of felt like it plonked you halfway through the leveling experience. And I've, like, when you play Wrath Classic and you make your Death Knight, you don't realise how important it is that they start you at level 55 when the cap is, especially in pre-patch, 70, but obviously later on 80. A massive part of a power fantasy of a hero class that you never really think about is the fact that you start at level 55 with bags and gold and talents, and you're strong already and you're hitting into thousands of damage already. It's all stuff that's kind of in the background and subconscious to the experience, but it actually matters. And when you're starting in Mists, it just kind of feels a bit random to start leveling halfway through, but when you're starting in Wrath, it makes you feel powerful and cool. The rotation isn't exactly the most thought out. It's a bit face rolly, it's a bit, oh, this colour's up, press this colour. I mean, yeah, you've got plagues and stuff and Plague Strike to utilise your plagues or whatever. I don't know if that's what Plague Strike does, I think that's what Blood Strike does or whatever the blood one is called. But all that aside, all I really mean to say is I've never enjoyed a Death Knight as much as I am enjoying my current Wrath pre-patch Death Knight. He's currently level 64 and I'm hoping to get him to level 70 before Wrath comes out, and then I think I might just level through Wrath on him. He might even become my main. I still don't really have a solid main in Classic. It was going to be Desmodius, my Fury Warrior. But since the pre-patch hit, I haven't really touched Desmodius. I'm also considering at some point getting the £35 boost, which I've never really bought a boost outside of just the one you get when you pre-order a certain tier of the expansion, because it's World of Warcraft and I'm okay doing that with World of Warcraft, because I play a fuck ton of World of Warcraft. But it's never really occurred to me that a boost in Classic is kind of a bigger deal than a boost in the retail game, because, I mean, first of all, you're only allowed one per expansion, which is nice. But also, it takes a long fucking time to level up in BC and Rav. Even with a Joyous Journeys buff, it's insane. But also, I kind of like the pet, and I kind of like the fact that you can summon a Tuskar dude. I don't like the mount, and I'm actually bummed out that I didn't get the Dark Portal Pass. I know I was complaining about how expensive it was, but I didn't realise that when they got rid of the Dark Portal Pass, there wasn't going to be any other way to get the Neverstalker mount, which I actually really do like the fucking look of. I still don't think the £60 here is worth it. I mean, they throw in a month's game time now. I think it was £50 for the Dark Portal Pass one, but I can't entirely remember. But looking at everything in it, I still don't think it's entirely worth it. But it's just kind of a bummer that I'll never be able to get that, because also I do kind of have this thing of like, if you've got a cosmetic item that nobody can get from a certain point, it's cool. RuneScape's party hats messed me up, okay? If I had known that the Neverstalker or the Warpstalker, whatever it's called, mount wasn't going to be available after Wrath dropped, I probably would have picked it up, actually. Not just because I love it, look of it, but also because, you know, hey, I've got this thing that shows that I was playing BC Classic when BC Classic was a thing, and now when I see people running around on it, I'm like, oh man, because I don't like the Wrath Classic mount. I'm probably not going to get it unless maybe one day on a whim, long after I've spent the £35 initially. I'm like, it's like a £25 upgrade. But still, £25 for a mount, that's like a lot for a mount you don't like, I don't know. It's like this, it's like a glider put together by the Tuskar. It's like a kite looking thing, and it's just boring as hell. If I do get a £35 boost, I might use it on my mage, because my mage is called Kritigri, so maybe I should put some more effort into making my mage my main again, like he was originally going to be. But, you know, it could be cool to have a mage at max level. I would do it on a druid, just to have, like, one, like, main class across both versions of the game. But also, I'm kind of leveling a druid as part of a live stream series, and I don't just want to be like, never mind, fuck it, boost it. I've also been playing a bunch of World of Warcraft Retail Edition, raiding with Reese, doing a whole bunch of the Fated raids in Season 4, and it's a lot of fun. I've also been leveling my Warlock in there as well, and trying to get transmog for him, making good use of my sub. Did I spend this entire Halo 2 match talking about World of Warcraft? I think I spent this entire Halo 2 match talking about World of Warcraft. Let's find something different to talk about. How about that? Comic book update, because I got that iPad, remember? DHL Parcel Hell, remember that whole saga? Yeah, I've been reading a whole bunch of Marvel Comics on my Marvel Comics machine, which I also use for watching Twitch and YouTube on. I finally got to the point where suddenly Spider-Man's wearing a black suit, and they're like, whoa, he's got a whole new outlook after Secret Wars. And I look at my reading guide, and my reading guide's like, hey, you could just keep reading. And I'm like, I think I'm going to go and read Secret Wars, actually, before I do anything else. And I'm only halfway through Secret Wars. I'll get into that in a minute. There won't be any spoilers, don't worry. But quickly, I'll say the reading order thing I use actually did mention it doesn't factor in comic book events. And that's fine, because usually the comics themselves do a big enough deal of being like, hey, if you want to know what's up with this, you should probably go and read this. But yeah, I'm always a little bit tepid of Marvel comic book crossover reading events, because they're usually a little bit overdone, and they kind of require you to have so much like understanding of all of these different characters. But I think because this one was an earlier one written in the 80s, it's a whole lot simpler. It's a whole lot humbler as well. Like, the characters just introduce themselves at the start of a comic, in case you might not know who they are. And in some other cases, I didn't. I feel like Marvel's more modern events kind of like expect everyone to be super deep into Marvel lore and be reading many different concurrent comics with a whole bunch of different characters. And, you know, they don't just throw out like, oh, and this is going to be like the 8-part event comic. It's also like, and then there's, you can read it from this person's perspective, and then you can read this part from this person's perspective, and there's like tens and tens of comics if you want to read the entire thing and get a full understanding of what goes on. And in my opinion, I've just not come across one of those that's good yet. But Secret Wars is humble. It doesn't, to the best of my knowledge, it doesn't have any like, oh, go read Iron Man Secret Wars. And again, this is the one from the 80s, so Iron Man Secret Wars I believe does exist, but for a later Secret Wars event, because comics. It's just fucking, it's a 12-part story contained within itself, and it has ramifications for the characters within it, but I think it's a pretty good standalone reading experience, to be fair. I'm enjoying it so far. It's really interesting, actually. It makes me want to go... I mean, this is probably one of the reasons why these comics are made in the first place, like these crossover events, but it makes me want to go and read, like... I want to read a Fantastic Four and see what the original Galactus stories were like, and I want to go read some X-Men and, you know, see what they're like working as a team and why things are a bit different here and stuff like that. Also, it's a nice change of pace after reading so much Spider-Man to be like, okay, let's take a break from swinging around New York on webs and beating up criminals. Let's go and see this, like, massive fucking solar system sized space station appear in the sky. That was a lot of S sounds. That was a very sibilant sentence. But yeah, let's go watch that happen. And they're all like stranded on this planet trillions of light years away from Earth and all this, and it's, you know, it's old, but it's good. And given that there's actually going to be a Secret Wars TV series, I believe, coming up in the next few years, it might be worth going and reading if you're interested in seeing how the versions differ. I'm sure they'll be extremely different thinking about it, but, you know. The only thing I don't like about the Secret Wars title is the title, Secret Wars. It's stupid. Why is it a secret war? What's secret about it? Even the characters sometimes reference, wow, I can't believe we're having this secret war, TM. And I'm like, what does that even mean? It's one of those comic book events where you hear the title and you're like, Secret Wars? Oh, was it like... Does it mean that there were people undercover, like the Kree invasion or the Skrull invasion or whatever? I don't know how that happens, but that's called Secret Invasion, you know? That at least makes sense because it is a secret invasion. This is not a war that has to be kept secret from anyone. I don't understand. I have also read the Secret Wars, the more modern version of it. I think there might be a third one now, I don't know. But I read the more modern version of it where they are basically converging the universes together because that's how Ultimate Spider-Man kind of came to an end. And I was just like, oh, I should probably read Secret Wars. It does kind of make me want to go back and reread that and see what the similarities are. Like, there's two battle worlds, I know that. They both take place on a battle world. Is it ever mentioned that similar events happen twice? Is there a reason for it? I don't remember anymore. In other news, Gamescom happened, and I think that actually might have happened last week or the week before. I might have missed talking about it in the weekly Waypoint, and there's a reason why I missed talking about it. It's because I didn't pay attention to it. There are some years when Gamescom is like super hype. I think I've even made a blog post about here's everything I'm excited to see at Gamescom kind of thing before, and then there are years when it just kind of passes by like a fart in the wind, and this was one of those years for me. I'm guessing it's because all of the gaming companies that I'm usually excited to see stuff from had already kind of done stuff a few months earlier with their E3 style things, but yeah, like, I didn't even watch the events afterwards because I was at work at the time. I didn't even read a headline showing off all of the game titles, and it does feel a little bit weird. It does feel like something might have passed me by. Maybe at some point I'll watch an E3 where something's showing off, I'm like, oh, this looks like a cool new game, and people will be like, that game was revealed before, you know. That might happen, but it's fine. I don't have to watch literally every gaming event that ever happens. I do like to watch them, which is why I watch them, otherwise that would be weird. But yeah, Gamescom just didn't land for me this year. In other news, House of the Dragon is really good, but you already know that because I've been putting out thoughts per episode things about it. If I wasn't, it's absolutely a topic I would be talking about in the weekly Waypoint, and I think it might be why I'm starting to struggle for topics in the weekly Waypoint, to be honest, because usually there's something I'm watching, like I was talking about Sandman when that was coming out, but at the minute I'm making its own video series, so I'm struggling a little bit to find things to talk about, but that's fine. We're almost at the end of a video, aren't we? That's just how exciting my life is. I'm like, I'm playing World of Warcraft and I'm reading comics. What else happened in my life this week? Maybe I should do what I used to do when I first started making these and have like a list of notes on my phone of things to talk about, you know? Maybe I should go back to that method. Maybe I should keep a list of things that I see throughout the week that I'm like, that could be fun to talk about on the weekly Waypoint. How about this? If you're into World of Warcraft Classic Wrath of the Lich King, if you played back then, leave a comment letting me know what class I should roll next, and or what your favourite class was and why. And if you are a comic book reader, leave a comment telling me which Marvel series I should read next. But other than that, if you liked the video, please give it a like, subscribe for more, and I'm gonna go and spend my week off playing WoW Classic.